Aloha. In this video, we're going to be talking about detecting ranges with branches. We're going to be speaking generally here and not using Python specific code. So you can use if, else if, and else statement structures to detect whether a value lies within a certain range of values. This works particularly well with integers. So we're going to use the book example of a person wanting to play soccer. And we're going to see about sorting them into which age group they belong. So we're going to use something here called pseudocode. And pseudocode basically is code. It's not really code. It looks like code, feels like code, but it's not actually syntactically code, not in the language that we're going to be working in anyway. So the idea of it is use pseudocode to kind of sketch out your ideas in a way that's kind of easy to translate and to put into the actual target language eventually. So what I use it for, I generally don't use it when I'm doing small problems. When I'm looking at a larger program and I want to break it up into pieces, what I'll do is I'll just kind of sketch it out in pseudocode. Basically, if something or another happens, do this, and I'll put the general the bones of it, but I won't actually put the detail. I won't flesh it out really. So that's what pseudocode is really. So anyways, to detect the ranges of numbers, we're going to be using operators like the less than or equal, greater than or equal, instead of the equality operator. And the reason for this is that the equality operator, the double equal sign, gives you true or false for a single data point. But the other ones that we mentioned, the less than or equal to, greater and greater than or equal to, those are going to give you more of a range of data points. So we're going to be using those instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take VS Code again, because that's my favorite editor, and we're going to use that. And I'll show you some pseudocode that I've written up for the some different problems here. So let me pull up my handy dandy little VS Code, and looking in here, we can see that we've got a grade sorter. I just made this one up instead of using the example in the book. But the idea is that we're gonna sort grades just in pseudocode. So let's start building it here. So we're going to go with A's being the numbers from 90 to 100, B's are going to be 80 to 89, C is going to be 70 to 79, and D is going to be 60 to 69. Anything lower that, it's going to be an F. So our pseudocode would look something like this. If number grade is less than 60, letter grade was equal to F. If number grade is less than 70, letter grade equals D. So on the first thing here that we have, if number grade is less than 60, letter grade equals F, that means that anything less than 60, in other words, minus infinity to 59, all that's going to be an F. So once we've gone through that one, we get to the next level. So if we get through that and make it to the next part, which technically these should be else ifs, but when we get to that second one, else if number grade is less than 70, letter grade equals D, we already know that it's not between minus infinity to 59. So now what we're saying is, well, for that 59 to 70 range, this is what we're looking at here. So we know it isn't less than 60. So saying less than 70 means the range between 60 and 69. So then we have an else if, and I'll go ahead and make those changes now because really these should be else ifs here. But an else if is more of a JavaScript construct than here where we use elifs. But we have else if number grade is less than 80, letter grade is equals C. So from the first two statements that we have, if it's made it this far, we already know that it isn't less than 70. So saying less than 80 means we're going to be looking at the range between 70 and 79. So then the next statement continues in the same way. Else if number grade is less than 90, letter grade equals B. So we know it isn't less than 80. So saying less than 90 means we're talking about the range between 80 and 89. And then we have our catch-all else statement at the end. So if it isn't anything before that, in other words, the last thing that we looked at, we've gone from minus infinity all the way up to 89. Anything above that, we know it's going to be an A. So we just use an else statement, letter grade equals A. So that's how we do this. Notice that when we're doing this, we're going from the low side, we're starting with 60. We're saying, is it less than 60? Give it an F. We can actually go the opposite way as well. But to go the opposite way, we're going to have to change some things around. So I've written up that too in pseudocode. So if you look here, we've got, as I said, we can also do it in the opposite direction. Instead of starting with F, using the less than operator, we can start at the top and use the greater than or equal operator. We could do this using just the greater than sign, but to do that, it's going to require us to compare kind of not even numbers. 80, we're going to be looking at 89, 79, 69, etc. And since I kind of like, clean even numbers, I'm just going to use the greater than or equal here. And it's something that we've learned about it in the past, talking about operators. And it's something, we're going to be looking at in the next couple of sections as well. So might as well get used to using the greater than or equal right here. So the pseudocode for this, and again, let me go in here and put in our little else ifs, because these are really else ifs and not ifs. But so the first one, we're going to say, if the number grade is greater than or equal to 90, the letter grade is going to be A. So basically, 90 to infinity, you're an A. We're not doing A pluses. So next we've got else if number grade is greater than or equal to 80, letter grade is going to be a B. So we know that the number isn't going to be 90 or above. So when we say greater than or equal to 80, it really means the range between 80 and 89. So you see how this is going. It's kind of just like we did up before, looking at ranges, except we're going bottom up and we're using the opposite, well, almost the opposite operator here, that we're using the greater than or equals. So we do that for the else if greater than or equal to 70, it's going to be C. Greater than or equal to 60, the letter grade is going to be a D. And then right at the end, we're going to have the catch-all. Since we've been through everything else, we know that the whatever's left after that is going to be an F. So we just have our else, and we assign letter grade equals to F. So this is essentially, looking at the ranges, using the, looking at the different ranges and using some of this logic here to, actually filter out grades. So we kind of like a sorter. So we're going to be fleshing this out a little bit in future lessons. We're actually going to be implementing this in Python. So we'll take a look at that shortly. So stay tuned.